The Vacant Land Activation Initiative and through the Housing Accelerator, we are building a plan to finally resolve this. When I got in office, we were doing research because we wanted to put something together for vacant parcels. And we found a plan for vacant parcels from 1980 that hadn't been worked on. And it was from the neighborhood Washington Weekly, ironically. To date, over 500 parcels are under review and 30 are ready for building. Yes, that's a good thing. This is thanks to staff like Andrew Bracker, who led the effort to secure the largest EPA grant in the nation this past October. And our partners at the EPA have taken a liking to this effort. So thanks to them for taking on even more environmental testing. Staff like Andy Clark, Deion Lewis, who's in the building, and Mary Owens, who are tenacious in their commitment to these efforts. It would not happen without them and their teams. Through the Housing Accelerator, we take vacant city-owned land and offer it to builders for just $1, with the expectation that affordable housing is built on that land within 18 months. We launched this pilot in the Washington Weekly neighborhood. Isn't that serendipity? Because I picked that neighborhood before I found that study, with about 80 parcels identified for cleanup and development. Because the strategy is simple. Once the soil is clean, the land becomes build ready. And once the land is build ready, the Housing Accelerator can move quickly to turn vacant ground into homes. And we aren't just working on vacant parcels, even though that's my personal favorite. I'm like the dirt girl, so I talk about it everywhere I go. We've secured $1.1 million to support improvement at Ivanhoe Garden Apartments, which preserve low to no income housing in the 3rd District. In November, we broke ground on the Prospect Summit duplexes. And we are proud to have partners like Merit Development here tonight who are building the Oak Park Townhomes. With Mayor Lucas and Councilwoman Robinson, we also led a $20 million investment to revitalize Parade Park homes. This investment will restore and protect more than 1,000 units of housing for individuals and families across all ages and income levels. We need to build a community that is diverse, right? Concentration of poverty is just as bad as concentration of wealth, and we have to interrupt that cycle. The work is demolition on those buildings. But while we are talking about demolition, I want to make something clear. For too long, the city's default response to blighted properties on the east side was to simply tear them down. What that left behind were empty, contaminated lots that invite crime and discourage rebuilding. So we are changing that approach. Through a partnership with Greg Lombardi with Neighborhood Legal Support, we are leveraging the Missouri Abandoned Housing Act to hold negligent property owners accountable. Instead of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on demolition, we are taking control of these properties, rehabilitating them, and putting them back on the market at truly affordable prices. The first launch of housing is slated for local teachers. Through a partnership with teachers like me and Black KC with the goal of making housing again affordable and desirable to the essential workers that lead our community. In this first round alone, approximately 28 homes will be restored and returned to productive use. That saves the city more than $2,000 in demolition costs annually. More importantly, it brings homes and families back to the blocks that deserve stability. Too often, residents who want to build a home face expensive architectural plans and complicated permitting processes. So we're working on that too. With help from Drive Architecture, we are working to create pre-approved housing plans designed specifically for the lot sizes in our neighborhoods. Residents and builders will be able to take these plans off the shelf and move forward faster and therefore more affordably. But this winter, we are reminded why this work really matters. Just 2 days before Thanksgiving, residents in Olive Park Village Apartments were told that federal housing subsidies had been terminated. landlord failed to maintain safe living conditions. Overnight, 30 families were put at risk of losing a roof over their heads. That's unacceptable. The city, with its leadership of Joe Williamson from the Public Safety Task Force and help from Assistant City Manager Diane Bingley, who's here today, things moved quickly. Through public and private partnerships, every family was relocated to safe housing within weeks. And one mom in that group with her children actually moved into a house for the first time, y'all. The relocation should never be the solution. Prevention should be. That's why I am working alongside Senator Barbara Ann Washington, who's traveling today, to advance state and local legislation that will close this loophole and put more teeth and accountability. Landlords should not be able to profit off public subsidies while failing to provide safe, habitable living conditions. And residents should never find themselves 2 days before a holiday wondering where they are going to live. Because housing is stability and neighborhoods are the anchor. That brings me to economic opportunity, because stability is the foundation for that. I've said it before and I will continue to say it. As the representative of the 3rd District, 18th and Vine is my downtown, okay? So in any city, downtown is the anchor. It is where businesses grow, where culture drives commerce, and where investment reflects what a community believes about itself. At one point in our history, 18th and Vine was exactly that. A national hub of Black businesses, music, entrepreneurship, and wealth. It didn't just serve Kansas City, it shaped American culture. It was proof that economic power lived on the east side and on 18th and Vine. Our responsibility now is not just to preserve that legacy, it is to rebuild it in a way that creates real ownership, real jobs, and real pathways to help for people who live here today. That is why, even though we are a little tired of the disruption outside, 18th and Vine is busy with improvements. It is loud, it is messy, it is under construction, and that's a good thing. And we won't forget about the Greg Center pool, for those who keep asking. Because obviously our downtown needs to maintain its community center. Renovation for the pool is fully funded and all necessary materials have been ordered. And we are looking at some We are, in fact, reviving the Vine. Today there is more than $400 million in active public and private investment flowing into the heart of our community. And when people hear that number, they often assume the city is paying for all of it. But the truth is actually different. Isn't the truth always different? We have used strategic, targeted, modest public investment to unlock hundreds of millions of private dollars. A perfect example is the parking garage on 18th in Lydia. Within months of taking office, I secured $20 million to build the first publicly funded parking garage anywhere on the east side. And publicly funded infrastructure is not sexy and it's not what people really get excited about, but it causes so much other development to happen. And we just have to realize that and accept it. We have to be pushing for publicly funded projects in the 3rd District in the same way that it's happening downtown. That's how we grow exponentially. You look up in 5 or 10 years and you've done a lot. So we need to pressure the city to put those projects in the 3rd District because we waited for too long. These types of projects make other catalytic projects more feasible, like unlocking a $50 million Marriott tribute hotel that we know is called the Pennant, the expansion of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, the Parker mixed-use residential development, the expansion of the American Jazz Museum, the church on 18th and Pastel will also see a makeover. You know which one I'm talking about. We are maintaining the history while we enter a modern era. Another example is the 18th and Vine pedestrian mall. Our own Congressman Cleaver secured $4 million in federal government for the federal funding for the project. with your partners, I secured an additional $1.5 million locally to move the project forward. So together, those investments will transform the corridor into a more walkable and vibrant public space that supports small businesses, attracts visitors, and strengthens the overall experience of the district. This is how you rebuild a downtown, and dozens of people are making it happen. But revitalization also requires reconnecting our community. The proposed 18th and Vine streetcar expansion and the study currently underway is exploring how we can create real east-west connectivity and at least link the east side directly to the rest of the city's transit spine. A streetcar extension would increase foot traffic for small businesses. It would give residents easier access to jobs, education, and entertainment without relying entirely on a car. And it would also allow visitors to move seamlessly from the River Market to downtown to the Plaza in UMKC and 18th and Vine, bringing energy and spending power directly to our downtown. Across the country, streetcar lines have catalyzed private investment, supported mixed-use development, and created the kind of density that allows small businesses to thrive. We can integrate that transit option with others, such as KCATA, biking, and walking. And finally, if we want this growth on the east side to last, we have to make sure the right systems are in place to support it. Through the last budget process, I secured $600,000 to secure economic development specialists dedicated to implementing the prospectus plan, because y'all told me y'all tired of plans and then there's nobody to make the plan happen. So this was my answer for that. Their job is to coordinate projects, monitor and implement real estate strategies, support business development, and make sure the vision we have laid out for the corridor actually moves forward. And I'm also working on the reconstitution of a redevelopment authority for 855 District to support long-term investment, consistent leasing activity, and stronger collaboration with the city's economic development partners and the community at large. Professional staff are necessary for all of these things to work. If you saw the information booths, what you should know is that all of those people are professionals with expertise in their respective disciplines. And that's how we actually get things going. But none of these investments matter if our young people cannot see themselves in the future we are building. That brings me to youth and education. If we are serious about economic opportunity, we have to build a clear career pipelines with our school districts that connect students directly to the industries growing right here in the 3rd District and across Kansas City. Last year, we launched KC Future Builders and Manual Career and Technical Institute. Dr. Minnie Adams is here. She leads that effort with passion and expertise. This construction and skilled trades pathway prepares students to step directly into good-paying jobs with benefits immediately after graduating high school. And Metropolitan Community College, I met with them yesterday, has committed to providing further credentialing opportunities for these students post-high school. Students in the program are gaining real experience on active job sites to major public investments like the parking garage on Lydia, the Housing Accelerator Homes, and other development projects across the district. They are able to earn industry credentials, build relationships with contractors, developers, and unions, thus opening doors to apprenticeships and long-term careers. We also expanded that vision of public safety. The Kansas City Fire Department is deeply engaged with Manual Tech to ensure students have a path into the fire service. Yeah. Students will be introduced early to what these careers require, from physical readiness and certifications to mentorship and hands-on experience. The goal is simple. If we want safer neighborhoods, we need first responders who know our neighborhoods. Matt Dowd and Dan Heisman understand that important piece of the puzzle. We know that there are people who grew up on these blocks and see this work as service and not just a job. Preparing young people for the future also means giving them a voice in shaping it. That is why we created the KC Future Builders Office within the Health Department. Shout out to Dr. Jones. KC Future now houses 2 formal commissions established by the City Council. The KC Youth Commission, made up of 13 commissioners ages 13 to 18, and the Young Adult Commission, made up of commissioners ages 19 to 24. These commissions help lead the city's youth outreach and engagement efforts and advise on policies that impact the next generation. And next week, they will host the first ever KC Futures Youth Summit. Yeah, they put it together. They're bringing together high school students from across the metro for youth-led discussions on violence prevention, mental health and substance use, youth-friendly spaces, and quality education. As we look ahead, we also have to ask ourselves 2 important questions. First, do our young people have meaningful things to do in this community? And second, can they actually get to those opportunities safely and reliably? As a volleyball mom, I've had the chance to travel across the metro and see state-of-the-art sports complexes where suburban students have access to modern courts, training facilities, and gathering spaces designed just for them. Our students deserve nothing less. I want to see a first-class, centralized youth sports and activity complex built right here in Kansas City. That is something that I'm in the early stage of bringing to life, and we'll be creating a new youth sports task force. You heard it here first. Made up of various local coaches who understand the needs, the opportunities, and have a heart for our kids. And I'm not talking about youth sports that are just strictly competitive in nature, but we want to focus on leadership, conflict resolution, and healthy lifestyles that sports can offer. In the meantime, we are improving the facilities that we have. We recently celebrated the new soccer fields at 9th and Van Brunt. And through PIAC, 3rd District PIAC, we're building a covered and lighted skating rink at Boone's Park. I'm excited about that. And a new boxing ring at the Police Athletic League in East Blue Valley, the East Side, which even welcomed boxing legend Tony Weeks last summer. I want to talk about public safety. Active, engaged youth stay out of trouble, and youth sports illustrates that public safety is about more than policing. It's about solving problems on multiple fronts. It is housing, it is mental health, it's code enforcement, it's prevention. It is making sure the systems around people are strong before a crisis ever happens. That's why I work to secure $7.1 million to establish a low-barrier shelter for individuals and families experiencing homelessness. And I want to make sure that we also secured another $500,000 to make sure that the neighborhoods around the facility remain clean and safe. It can respond to anything that may happen. Being without a home is dangerous. Addressing homelessness is both compassionate policy, but it's also public safety policy. After hearing the community loud and clear, I also work to bring animal control back in-house so the city can improve response times, accountability, and service. Residents deserve a system that works for them. And we save money, hire staff, and are able to have a real system that works. As an aside, my emails about animals have dropped tremendously. So, shout out to Florida Zachary, must be running the department well. Y'all are off my back for that. Animals are an underappreciated aspect of public safety, housing, stability, and quality of life. That's why my annual positive protection event We have vaccinated over 400 animals in under 2 years and provided free licenses, food, and microchips. I will never forget meeting a woman in the drive-thru at the vaccine event, and she explained that she was experiencing cancer. And she really didn't know how she was going to pay for the vaccination. And so she tearfully explained how much it meant to her that, you know, she could keep her animal because she really didn't have money to take care of it. And so I think as a community, we sometimes don't think about how our furry friends make a big impact on our lives. Public safety is about making our neighborhoods stable and secure. Strong neighborhoods also depend on the everyday services that help community thrive. That brings me to basic services. Early in my term, I established an urban agriculture committee made up of local growers, experts, and community leaders to advise the city on policies and programs that expand access to healthy, locally grown food. And I see one of the members is here, Alani Henry. Through that committee, we launched a $2,000 plant grant. Get it? Okay. Providing support to 26 urban growing organizations at a time when many were facing major cuts at the state and federal level. This committee is led by staff and is also conducting a full review of Kansas City's urban agriculture code. Over the past year, this work has produced neighborhood plans. Oh, I skipped ahead. So another thing that we did, and I'll close with this. Another thing that I'm excited about that we did is we secured $200 for neighborhood planners. Typically what happens is neighborhoods hire a consultant. That consultant can cost about $250,000, okay? And so what I did was secure 2 positions in the budget to actually conduct neighborhood plans. And what makes it different is when planners conduct the plan, it actually gets adopted by the city. And developers can look at it and actually take it into consideration. So it's just a faster way for developers to know what you actually want in your community. So Washington Wheatley, South Round Top, Independent Plaza,